Good morning. I'm for one excited for the food, for sure. Okay, สวัสดีครับ Welcome everyone to Bangkok for those who just flew in. Very excited to be here and thank you Google for having us. My name is Art. I'm from KBTG Kasikorn Business Technology Group and also representing the new startup company under KBTG called Beacon Interface. So this morning I'm gonna talk to you not so much about technical. I'm a developer, believe it or not, but today I want to talk about user experience and design a little bit to get you to use a little bit more of your right-hand side brain. Okay, so let's start the session by showing you a video just to wake you up a little bit, and then I will come back and speak a little bit more.
2 ครั้งเพื่อกลับสู่เมนูหลัก
โอเค
โอนเงินเรียบร้อย
ถ้าได้ทำในชีวิตจริงนี่สบายเลยโอน3 ทุ่ม 4 ทุ่มก็ได้
So that was a project called Beacon Interface. We went to Singapore late last year and then we won an award for it. But I'm not here to talk about the award, but okay. So I've been writing codes for many years, actually for all my life. And there was this question that I've been asking myself all the time. The question was, why I write codes. I think when I was younger, I write codes because it's very fun, right? And later on, it's look cool. And I think later on, it's kind of feed my ego to be one of the best developers, maybe. If the next guy can write 10 lines of code, I can do the same with 2 lines, then I feel good. But then when I grow older, I was looking for a more kind of higher value of the answer. And this experience I'm about to share with you, the Beacon Interface experience, to me kind of gave me the answer why I've been writing codes. I think I was looking for creating a value. If I write codes and it helps people or it changes their life or make their life better, then my line of codes become much more meaningful, I guess. So for the next about 40 minutes, I'm going to walk you through my experience that happened to me for the last 6 months, recently. So it started off by me and the team realizing that we are entering a new era. I call it digital lifestyle. There is a lot of changes that we see going on. And because we are in the financial sector, one of the obvious things that we see is that if you are in Thailand and Singapore as well, I'm sure in the US too, you see banks closing down branches, the brick and mortar branches. And that's simply because customers are now interacting with the banks through the digital channel, through the mobile phones. So they believe there's no longer a reason to keep the brick and mortar branches. And also, we are going cashless. In many countries, in Europe and the US, that's already happened. In Asia, it's happening, right? So this example is, I think, kind of says about it all. Right now in the UK, if you want to donate to homeless, you probably need to have an e-wallet because they now accept e-money instead of the physical money. So that's kind of, says best. We also losing sense of touch. Anyone has a phone with you? Could you raise your hand? I think that should be everyone, right? Especially Android phone. Anyone carry a phone that still has buttons? You know, anyone still carry BlackBerry? No. Not surprisingly, that's no, right? I still miss it, but no longer we have a phone with buttons. So we kind of lose sense of touch. And it's a bit difficult. I think some of us might want to, kind of sneaky and use the cell phone while we're driving, and that's become harder than before because with touchscreen, you can't touch it, you can't sense it. Now, the next question, who has a touchscreen phone? That should be everyone, right? Me included. So we are seeing that touchscreen become the de facto standard for devices, not just the mobile phone, but you see elevator, microwave, and even in your car, you start seeing that all the buttons are gone, and then they're replaced by touchscreen. And that makes sense because touchscreen are cheaper to manufacture and also much more flexible for us to program, for us, the coder, to program. With this single piece of glass, you can make it anything you want. You just program it. So that's good. Life is good for us, most of us in this room. Everyone has touchscreen around them. Sometimes you sit down and you see touchscreen around you. You have your computer, you have your mobile phone, and so on. But for some group of people, that is not so good because when everything turns digital and everything turns touchscreen in the same time, for some people who has difficulty seeing, it's become frustration and sometimes even become obstacle. And that group of people is what we call visually impaired, right? So visually impaired are three groups of people. The first one is the blind, people who cannot see at all. The second group is called low vision, people who can sometimes see the light, but they can't see the picture very well. I know one person that has, it's just like he is in the fog all the time. He can't see clearly, he sees only the profile and some light. So that's the low vision. And the last group, this group is going to be larger and larger. These are the elderly. If you notice, countries like Japan, including Thailand, are entering what they call the aging society. So there will be more and more people with older age, and then eventually they will have difficulty seeing as well. So you want to talk about, let's talk business opportunity for developers in here. This can be a good opportunity for you to engage with this group of people, which I think at this point is not enough supported. When we create a new application, we usually focus on the visual people like you and me. We don't much or adequately think about them or even know about them. So what my team and I, the Beacon Interface team, last year set out to do is to try to see if we can come up with a better user experience for this group of people, right? And then we call it the Beacon Interface. And this what Beacon is not the Beacon device, but is the Beacon as the thing that shine light for the board. That's Beacon, because we think that what we are trying to do should be able to glimpse light into the dark world and let them be able to use the mobile application and touchscreen devices easier and better. So next I'm going to show you a 5-minute video. It will give you some idea of how we did that. We went out to talk to people who actually visually impaired to understand them better. And then we conducted design session. And then at the end of the video, there's a short kind of demo of what Beacon Interface looks like. This is going to be just a 5-minute video.
กก็กลัวเฮ้ยมันจะมีแบบนี้เราใช้ได้ยังไงคือเมื่อก่อนเนี่ยเราใช้โทรศัพท์ปุ่มกดมาตลอดพอมีเทคโนโลยีกว่าที่เราจะคือเห็นคนอื่นเขาใช้กันแบบคนตาบอดคนอื่นเขาเริ่มใช้แล้วเฮ้ยเขาใช้ได้ยังไงอ่ะ
ตอนแรกอ่ะคือ iPhone ออกมารุ่นแรกคือมันเป็นทัชสกรีนใช่ไหมฮะแล้วก็หลังจากนั้นมันก็มีการเขาเรียกว่าอะไรอ่ะมีเป็นเฟสติวัลเลยอ่ะคือทุกยี่ห้อก็ออกทัชสกรีนมากันหมดแล้วมันเป็นคือช่วงนั้นอ่ะคือมันแทบจะไม่มีคนทำโทรศัพท์ที่เป็นปุ่มกดแล้วใช่ไหมมันก็เลยเป็นมากับช่วงที่ในวงการเรามีความแบบลังเลอย่างมากว่าต่อไปเราจะอะไรยังไงดี
ตอนนี้ที่เรามีปัญหาที่สุดก็คือแอปที่มาใหม่เรื่อยๆอย่างที่พวกเราอยู่วันนี้คุยกันวันนี้เขาไม่คำนึงถึง accessibility
ที่ไม่ใช่ก็คือไม่สะดวกแค่นั้นเองก็คือไม่รู้ว่าฟังก์ชันอะไรก็คือถ้ามันไม่สะดวกก็คือไม่ใช่ถ้ามันหน้าจอเลอะเทอะก็เลิกใช้
เหมือนกันแบบอ่านไปแล้วเลเบลมันไม่ได้บอกว่ามันคืออะไรหรือบางทีมันพอยไปตรงนี้แล้วมันก็ไม่ได้บอกว่าตรงนั้นมันคือจุดไหนมันไม่มีโฟกัสค่ะตรงนั้นก็คืออ่านไม่ได้เลย
ในมือถือก็ทำแต่ว่ามันก็จะแบบมันไม่สะดวกเนาะมันตัวเล็กมันแบบไม่สะดวกมันหลายๆอย่าง
ที่จะเป็นในเครื่องเพราะทำไม่เป็นพอเขาถามมาเราก็ตอบไม่ถูกแล้วไม่รู้จะอะไรเพราะว่าผู้จริงๆคำถามแต่ละอันเนี่ยนะเข้าใจยากมาก
เมนูที่2รายการโปรดเมนูที่3สอบถามยอดเงินเมนูที่4โอนเงินเลื่อนลงหรือแตะ2ครั้งเพื่อยืนยันบัญชีต้นทางบัญชีเงินเดือนยอดเงินคงเหลือ 35,000 บาทเลื่อนลงหรือแตะ2ครั้งเพื่อยืนยันเลือกโอนเงินจากบัญชีเงินเดือนบัญชีปลายทางบัญชีคุณแม่เลื่อนลงหรือแตะ2ครั้งเพื่อยืนยันเลื่อนไปทางซ้ายหรือขวาหากต้องการเปลี่ยนบัญชีปลายทางบัญชีสามีเลื่อนลงหรือแตะ2ครั้งเพื่อยืนยันโอนเงินถึงบัญชีสามีกรุณาระบุจำนวนเงินที่ต้องการโอนเลื่อนไปทางซ้ายหรือขวาเพื่อเลือกจำนวนเงินโอนเงินจำนวน200โอนเงินจำนวน300 บาทต้องการโอนเงินจำนวน300 บาทจากบัญชีเงินเดือนไปทำรายการสำเร็จระบบได้โอนเงินจำนวน300 บาทจากบัญชีเงินเดือนไปยังบัญชีสามียอดเงินคงเหลือจำนวน 34,700 บาทเลื่อนลงหรือแตะ2ครั้งเพื่อกลับสู่เมนูหลักหรือเลื่อนไปทางขวาเพื่อบันทึกรายการโปรด
So, what would be the best way to prove that the app kind of works, better than just blindfolded your teammates? Okay, so that was basically a beacon interface in a nutshell. If you would like to know more and would like to try it out by yourself, we are just right in front of this hall. When you exit the hall, you see the booth of KBank KBTG, and beacon interface team is there to give you a personal demo. But what we learned, by the way, this project is a bit different from what I've been working for in the past as far as the IT projects go. Instead of sitting down and doing the design, we went out to actually use the kind of the design thinking process to understand the pain points, the difficulty, and the actual behavior of the user that we would like to support. So in the beginning, you see, we went out to talk to this 3 group of people and ask them what they think about trying to use mobile application these days on smartphone with touchscreen. So basically, we get, it's difficult, I can't see, so it's difficult for me to know where stop are. Some of the elderly, the old people, they can still see a little bit, but they think that it's too complicated, too many buttons, too many questions. So these are not like us who are IT, geeks. We probably can understand anything, even it doesn't have, interface at all. But these are the user that we're trying to serve. So with that, we came back and we did a design session. Then we go out and then ask them to try it, right? So what we came up with is actually it's pretty simple from the technical point of view. But I think it's quite innovative in the design, the idea, and the way we created user experience using just a normal phone. So first, we realized upfront that there needs to be no vision required. So you need to be able to use the app without looking at the screen, right? Because we want to serve the blind. So that's obvious. But how? Then we kind of turn the touchscreen, because they can't see and they can't locate object on the screen, we kind of turn the whole screen into like a touchpad, if you will. So they can navigate using just 4 directions, just move the finger, touch anywhere on the screen and move the finger, and we call that the, the non-location-based navigation. And then we break down the screen complexity into 1 screen, 1 function, right? And then we're trying to use, if you can't use the screen, what else can you use to give back the user experience, the output, the feedbacks? So we utilize the speaker, of course, and the vibrator, the haptic, to try to simulate the experience of being able to touch. For example, if they touch the right place, then we give a very short vibration or haptic feedback, kind of supportive feedback that you are doing the right thing. And of course, comments from the user are privacy as well, because using speakerphone on the bus or in the train is not so good if you're trying to do, let's say, financial transactions. So the way we did, we used the light sensor. Anytime they put the phone next to their ear, then all the voice feedback we play to the earphone instead of speakerphone. And because it's non-location based, they can hold the phone up like this and just use the thumb to navigate and basically to conduct all the transactions they want. And because we also serve people who still can see, the low vision and the elderly, the visual design is still important, right? So we basically try to simplify the way we design the user interface. For example, we try to use different color screen, different color scheme for different function. And we maintain high contrast throughout the design pattern so that people with low vision can still see quite well. And you can see that the icons are larger and there are like basic geometry shapes behind the icon because for some low vision people, they can't even see the icon even though they are larger. And they can still recognize the shape. And that will give them some visual clue on like which page they are on, which mode they are on. And together going forward, this makes it easier for them to use the app and also to learn. So with this, hopefully Q3 of this year, we're going to launch Beacon interface with K Mobile Banking, the mobile banking application of K Bank, so that everyone, not just the visually impaired, will have options to use Beacon interface. I talked to people who are not visually impaired, and I let them try Beacon interface, and many of them like it because, first of all, it's much simpler for you to use, and you can use it. Don't tell anyone I say this, but while you are driving. And like you are in the theater, in the meeting room, and you suddenly want to make money transfer, you can use Beacon interface because you don't need to look at the screen. And of course, for the blind, they can just simply turn the screen off and just use Beacon interface using the voice and haptic feedback. And because this is a developer conference, This is, I haven't shown this slide before. We are going to go under the hood of beacon interface a little bit and talk a little bit technical. So what's actually beacon interface and how can you use it? Beacon interface is just the UI component, right? It can be embedded inside any mobile application. Doesn't have to be a banking application, any kind of application. And we call the application the host application. So the host application takes care of all the transaction, talking to the back end, talking to the Firebase. Beacon interface takes care of the user interface, the presentation layer, if you will. So it looks like this. Beacon interface basically sits between the host application and the hardware as far as the user experience goes. It will utilize all the hardware available, display, speaker, the haptic, and all the touch input. So this will give you a design pattern, if you will, and a user experience kind of SDK that we work on. We did the research and proven to work with visually impaired. So you don't have to, as an app developer, you don't have to take care of this. You just write your app and then let the user, the beacon interface take care of the presentation. Configuring beacon interface is quite straightforward. So basically, there's a bunch of JSON files that you configure the flow of the screen and also the look and feel of the screens, right? So that's the visual or the user experience part. Now the back-end part, we do callback functions through a set of API. So basically, when we get input from the user, we call back to the host app to say, okay, here is your PIN number, for example, and then authentication will be done by the back-end app, and then the back-end app come back and say, go to the next step, and so on. Right, so it's quite simple, and this is applicable to any mobile application. Next year, we are going to, hopefully, we will expand this beyond just the mobile phone and have it in, like elevator or microwave oven as well, the same principle. So with this, we are quite proud that with beacon interface, we empowered people with visually impaired to be equal and independent. And you don't know what that means because you are not one of them. Let's say you're visually impaired and you want to open a bank account. You need to ask someone else who is, a good eye to go with you and co-sign your account. And anytime you want to withdraw some money or deposit some money, you need to ask that person to go with you. So basically, you cannot do some things by yourself. You need to ask another person to do it with you, even though it's, quite a private matter. So that's why with this, and if they can use this by themselves, they feel empowered and become equal. So these are some of the use cases that, or some group of people that can benefit from using this. Of course, the low vision, the elderly, also the illiterate. Imagine if you cannot read or understand reading the language, but you can understand talking. You can talk, but you cannot read. You can use beacon interface because it's basically voice-based, right? So this came to us later on when we went to Singapore to exhibit beacon interface. A gentleman from Indonesia came to me and say he was interested in using this because over there are many people who cannot read and can benefit from this. And everyone in this room can benefit from this as well when you are what we call temporarily visually impaired. Basically, those times where you cannot look at the screen or you cannot turn the screen on. So this approach can help you be able to use the application as well. So we went to, like I told you, we went to a Singapore FinTech Festival late last year, and then we won awards from that festival from the Accelerator. But what was the most valuable experience for us wasn't the awards, but it was the feedback from people who get to talk to us or get to know what we are trying to do. This is the head of the judge in that competition that he say, this was inspiring. And what he said was, usually when we develop something is usually to make things faster, easier, or to sell more products. But this was the first time that he saw some developer get together and doing something that actually help people and make people's lives easier. So he thought it was inspiring. This one also from another lady who I didn't know who she was. And she came to me and said she was a developer. She is a developer all her life. And what we're trying to do kind of give her, the kind of the heart back, because she can feel that even though we are IT geeks, we can still do things that help people. I like this quote a lot. I've been in financial sector for many years doing IT development, and this kind of summarizes quite well that when you write code, when you create applications, it's supposed to be purposeful. It needs to have some purpose. And if that purpose is of the higher value, then the code that you write basically has some more value, and hopefully you feel better, you feel great about it. Nothing replaces writing codes, create application, going out to the people that you want to help, and actually see them happy, right? One of the person that I talked to, he is a professor in music, right? And he is blind. And until this day, he's been trying to buy phone that still had button, the tactile phone. And he said it's become more challenging and more challenging each day because they, fewer of them. And because of beacon interface, he is going to buy the first smartphone, right? And he called me back a few days later to ask about specification, just to make sure that he can run beacon interface on that first touchscreen smartphone that he's going to buy. And I kept telling him that, we decide it will work on any phone, a cheaper one and more expensive one. And he kept asking about the specification because he wanted to make sure that it will work. So that kind of thing is invaluable for a coder, for a developer to hear. So that's the kind of experience that I would like to share with you. It came to me recently after been doing this project that, as a technologist, we are not supposed to practice technology for the sake of technology. We're not supposed to write codes because it looks cool. But we should be able to create some values with our work. And hopefully, when you go back home today, you can sit down and asking yourself what this piece of code mean to you in terms of helping people, creating values, in different aspects. It doesn't have to be to help the blind, but I think it has to be purposeful. It has to have some meaning. So we still have, I think, 10 minutes left. I'm going to show you a movie. So this movie, by the way, everyone in the movie is not actors. They are my team, the Beacon Interface team. So we make this movie because it's inspired us to do what we did, right? It's the story about one of the student, a blind student that we interview. Actually, he was in the previous video, the second one, that looked like a student. And this is a true story of his life. I will show it to you first, and then I will kind of talk about the movie a little bit later.
ผมเห็นแสงสว่างครั้งสุดท้ายตอนอายุ 12
น้องเขาต้องผ่าตัดนะคะ หมอว่า 50-50 ค่ะอย่าลืมตาขึ้นช้าๆนะคะ เป็นไงบ้างคะ
ห้องไม่ได้เปิดไฟหรอครับคุณแม่อยู่ไหนล่ะครับคุณแม่ครับคุณแม่เหรอครับล ลกของผมมืดดับลงไม่ใช่เพียงโลกภายนอกแต่รวมถึงโลกภายในด้วยเช่นกันความหวังและความฝันที่เคยมีกลายเป็นอดีตที่ห่างไกลที่ผมคงจะไปได้ไม่ถึงอีกแล้วผมยืนอยู่ในความมืดท้อแท้และหมดหวัง
ค่ะคุณหมอ
Welcome to Turbo C and Main. Double first character. Print. Enter the characters. Scan. Percent delay.
โลกของผมกลับมาสดใสอีกครั้งคงจะไม่ใช่โลกรอบตัวแต่เป็นโลกภายในที่สว่างไสวไปด้วยความหวังจากความรักของเธอ
โปรแกรมตาทิพย์เหรอคะค่ะทราบ
เธอผู้คอยนำทางเป็นแสงสว่างของชีวิตผมในวันที่ชีวิตคุณดูมืดมนและไร้จุดหมายมองไปรอบๆและหาแสงนำทางดวงนั้นของคุณให้เจอ
ได้แล้วเข้าได้แล้วลูก
ขอบคุณสำหรับทุกอย่างครับแม่
Yes, right. You can do that. I want to do that too. So Pawin, his name is Pawin. Pawin was 12 when he lost sight after the fifth operation. He was going to be one of us. He was a coder. He loved writing codes. He loved writing games. And then after the last operation, he totally lost sight. He stopped everything because there was no option for him to continue coding. And I think he said he kind of just stayed home doing nothing for about a year, and until this was like long time ago, until they came up with the screen reader. In Thai, it's called Tatip. So basically, you can install this program, and then it will read everything on the screen. And his mother discovered that through the doctor, just like in the movie. And that simple piece of technology, brought him back from the dark. And then he became engaged again. He started coding. He started studying. And right now, he got full scholarship at the School of Computer Science or Computer Engineering at Chulalongkorn University. And right now, he in the second year. So with this piece of small story, you can see that technology can, brought back life that's supposed to be lost. That's why this story was very inspiring for our team. And that's why we decided to make this movie. And that's why we did what we do with Beacon Interface. So with that, if you are interested in design thinking, user experience design, usability testing, and accessibility design, feel free to stop by the booth anytime, today or tomorrow, and I would love to share the experience and to talk to you. I believe that together we can change the world. ขอบคุณครับ Thank you very much.